Hey out there in YouTube land, it's Kuda Slayer, aka Daytime Number the Beast, once again. This is kind of a further discussion about running a Gundam, at least a Gundam Universal Century inspired setting in the Mekton Zeta role-playing system. Again, I'll be using examples from my own setting that I've done for Noah, kind of sort of make the points I'm trying to carry here. This is kind of an odd subject, to me at least, because even though in Mekton you can create these giant, powerful mobile fortress things, that lay waste to a planet or asteroid or whatever. They also, technically speaking, are more of a prop than anything. There's something for your, they're kind of like these paper dragons that your armored knights of characters can run out and fight and slay and, claim their kills or whatever. And, they're an obstacle. They're not, even though they're supposed to be, threatening and represent a great danger, they're not really, only meant to put up so much of a fight. And a lot of times when you can build the ships in Mekton Zeta and everything, it's really kind of hard to either find the right balance when dealing with them. And that's to me, that's, I'm maybe being pedantic about that, but that is something you may want to definitely keep in mind. Let's see. I don't know why I even had this up. Be nice to have the right screen. Sorry, technical problems. Anyway, let's go over some rules first. This is from the sort of the third book I have in my Noah archive, that there will be links below, but this particular section kind of cares more about what in regards to spaceships. Since most of the spaceships are out in space, and in space there's an awful lot of space, your perception is going to be totally different than would be, say, planet side. So I kind of went through and adjusted what scanning range would be, how far would radar waves or whatever would be able to detect anything, and also kind of cover the some of the range issues with communications. Let's see. Laser chrome, that's just kind of more fluff. Oh yeah. One thing I try to do is I take away the limit for servo counts when you're designing basically the chassis for the ships. 12 can be rather limiting in many ways, but I just kind of have that wave as a kind of a freebie towards ships, give you a bit more freedom to slap things together. Of course, there's always the central torso. Any head servo can be serve as a turret. Usually, I kind of give them at least a 333 degree. Wonderful day. 330 degrees range of arc for firing, although depending on what your design is, you can give it more limited, like 180 or 360. I usually just base it on design. Belted armor, that's another rule, basically where you can stack on multiple layers of armor on a ship. That kind of gives them a little bit more protection, especially since eye fields and force fields are not really that common in Gundam in general. Let's see. Belted armor. Oh yeah. Another thing you want to keep in mind is when you're designing your ships, is there a theme or consistent design philosophy you put on them? Like in Xeon, a lot of their early ships were really only designed to combat other vessels and to carry mobile suits. They didn't really have like defensive weapons on them to defend against mobile suits attacking them, because that wasn't really a concern that early in the war. Uh, no design philosophy. I keep in mind a lot of uh, the Federation ships had multiple command decks, and that's kind of a design philosophy I give to them, to give them a little bit more, maybe a little bit more durability to basically sustain damage and keep on fighting. In most cases, this probably wouldn't really come into play unless I would only bring it into play when a ship is in direct combat, not the everything else on the sidelines, not direct interaction with the players and the situation at hand. Let's see. Again, these are rules you can find in the third book of my Noah franchise. Let's see. Yeah, with the Babel particles, Miansky particles, Babel particles, a lot of this forces a lot of combat into much closer ranges than normally would. And this is kind of not so much as a joke, but something as another option. I call it the Kaczynski lesson. If you don't know the reference, that's from was it Rick? No, it wasn't Rick World. But anyway, if you don't get it, look up the title, and it kind of explains everything they're thinking of. But basically is, since you have these massive ships, it takes a lot of power to move them about, and therefore there's a huge plume of plasma fire coming out of the rear, and this is good motivation for them not to be in very close proximity of each other, because they'll take damage. Let's see, since I'm covering up that part, basically, depending on the scale, if any enemy unit or friendly unit winds up in this zone right here, then they may feel some kind of effect from it. Let's see, is there anything else? No, that's avatars. Let's see, what else is there? Another thing I try to put into self-repair systems. Basically, it's kind of left one of the original rules from the Mekton Zeta archives, which is kind of a sort of a lower level self-healing ability. It kind of again gives ships a little bit more durability. Targeting computers is from the tactical display. That should be kind of pretty self-explanatory right there. It basically kind of helps set the maneuver value for targeting. G compensators, belted armor I talked about. Monocle and full monocle construction. I talked about in the last episode about avatars and mobile suits. And there's a bunch of little rules here for how to cover basic stuff. Let's see. That should be about enough for that. Let's jump into the ships. Let's actually look at some real numbers here. Okay, if you've been a long time Gundam fan, you'll recognize this as the Similis Kai version from Star Wars Memories, yeah. Rank slow time. Basically, I kind of just use as a basis for my ships, which I refer to as the Thermopylae class. Sort of a little bit of a nod. let's see. They kind of make these things, they're big, big dangerous obstacles to go up against. There are some limitations on them. They do have a turntable, which they have to deal with like starfighters. Basically, this is a distance you have to travel before they make a turn. Like in this case with the flight MA of 8, it means if he has to travel at least 4 hexes first before he can make a turn. So there's this like on each of these you have a big yellow sign that says warning, makes white turns. Let's see, all the different command decks and their functions. Screen changes. Sensors should be ends. The Bagel Harding should be pretty explanatory. Oh yeah, and these ships don't have the Babel particle dispensing. My understanding is most of the Federation ships that were able to do that didn't really have, or later generations, like the White Base and such, and wasn't really ability they had. So this is that was a feature that these ships do not have. Thrusters, again, I like to break up things like thrusters and such to give a little bit more capability to ships, especially for longevity. Damage control, stat boosts, hanger in addition to the command decks, I usually give each ship a computer or internal automation to give a little bit more ability. And here we can start getting to the business end. That's cleared up. Okay, good. Basically, have about 6 turrets. The double turrets have double Lightbringer cannons, which is the Miansky heavy particle cannons analog. Single and double should be fairly explanatory. And this is kind of another thing I kind of had to scratch my head about and decide really how I want to do it. But most of the weapons on these 100 scale ships are actually 10 scale. Basically because it kind of balances everything so that they can fire at smaller targets and maybe not wipe them out so much. There's a chance that small targets might actually still survive because they don't have much surface area to absorb the energy from a full blast. While meanwhile, if a scale 10 cannon were to hit a 100 scale ship, it would absorb the full attack. It's like normal here it's 60k at a 10 scale. If it was to hit because it has mega beam, if it was to hit another 100 scale ship, that would take a full 600 K hit to any location. And to me, it kind of makes sense. Kind of a trick I borrowed from Jogan Chronicles which was a much older module that was made for the earlier Mekton, before Mekton Zeta. One of the things they try to do is to kind of simplify things. Instead of saying like a location has a double cannon or whatever, they would actually do it as burst value 2 instead of building 2 separate cannons in there. It kind of makes things a little simpler. And of course, all the Lightbringer cannons have warm-up times. Let's see. Port missiles built them as projectile weapons, but they're treated as missiles. They're kind of fired as kind of almost like the old World War II torpedoes you often see in the movies. And this should be pretty self-explanatory. The the Aaa Guns, this defensive weapons. Basically, they're built as skill 1 just to kind of even it up against the attacking avatars to give a little bit more of a chance. Build as beam weapons because why even keep track of ammo at this point? And again, just I used hex wide angle attack just to kind of represent just how much sheer volley of firepower they're trying to put out to maybe not just because of the caliber of the guns or the rate of fire of the guns, but this is how determined the gunners are to see the next day. Let's see. A little bit of variance. Let's see. Let's see. Here's some stats for some boosters, basically get it when it's built on Earth, get it back into space, or into space in the first place. This is kind of a defensive package I came up with to upgrade some ships to have more defensive capabilities, like sort of these giant claymore mines mounted on the side to discourage attacking avatars. And smoke missiles and whatnot. Let's see, that should be good there. Let's see what else. Cargo ship. Let's jump down to the. I'll talk about naval ships later. Okay. Pluto Kismet. Neptune. Again in the really married life. The Neptune basically is the it basically is the mainline mecha carrier for the cosmic heavens. Basically Xeon's mainline sheet. I'm probably mispronounced right then. Misagi? Yeah, Misagi's. Basically, they should be pretty straightforward too. Of course, typical of everything Cosmic Heaven or / Xeon, they have their Miatsky Babel dispersal systems. Of course, much larger range. Later on, players can probably learn how to determine which ship it is just by the scale of the dark spot that's on their radar screens. Let's see. Everything here should be pretty self-explanatory. Here I kind of broke up the avatar bays to again spread out the damage and give a little bit more self-capability, longevity. Spotlights, of course, got to put spotlights on everything. Let's see. Pretty much everything here should be pretty straightforward on the. And once again, we have the Lightbringer cannons. Same thing, skilled 10 weapons. Kind of give a little bit of balance to the particle weapons used in Gundam. Here the torpedo tubes, missile tubes, whatever you want to call them, are kind of done the same way. They're built as projectile weapons, but treated as as missiles. But these are more for not so much actual direct combat, but these are kind of more supporting a role for the avatars themselves. Main missiles are designed to weaken ships from long range, and the kind of a clever thing I did, they actually used the paintball rounds to kind of hit the enemy ships, and so that when the avatars come in with their beetle particles systems dispersing and jamming all our sensors, it gives the avatar pilots a bit more of an advantage, as even though their sensors are jammed as well, they can actually see and notice the enemy ships a lot easier. Let's see. Shroud missiles. Kind of a backstory. The Neptune and Pluto are basically built to kind of look like the same general shape, mainly just kind of so confusion from long distance. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of something like that's threw in for a character. Let's see. Don't think there's anything special about here. I think that should cover pretty much everything I can think of. At least what I can talk about with an example. But yeah, these rules are available on the Mekton archive that I'll have links below. There will be in the NOAA section. These are basically the stats are in the second book, while the rules are in the third. That's kind of a quick overview of what you probably can use to run your own Gundam settings. If you have other suggestions or anything, please leave a comment. I don't think these ideas I present here are the end all of everything that can be done. I'm pretty sure there's some better ways to do it. But this is a discussion that we, as a community, we should be having. Anyway, I think that's all I can really say right now about it. I'll do another video talking about actual naval combat, since that's another special theme that's in my NOAA setting, and probably just kind of deserve its own video there. Anyway, this is Slayer, aka Daytime Number the Beast once again, and hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, leave comments. Let's have a discussion about this. That's because otherwise we'll keep reinventing the wheel constantly, the way it seems like it is on some bulletin boards and Discord channels. Anyway, catch you next time.